I am reading this morning the historical account, the testimony, when the Lord spoke to Abraham, when he came to visit him in his tent, went to look over the city of Sodom and Amorah to see if their wickedness really is as bad as he has heard. Obviously the Lord knows, but he's playing with Abraham. And he tells him, if it is, I'm going to destroy it. And Abraham was the prototype of the intercessor. And he goes, well, but what if there are 50 righteous men in the city? Would you destroy them and not forgive the place for the 50 righteous men in it? Far be it from you to do such a thing, to slay the righteous with the wicked, and the righteous was like the wicked. Far be it from you. Will the judge of all the earth not perform justice? See, Abraham already knew the reputation of the Lord, the judge of all the earth. And Abraham was playing the role. The Lord was testing him. And Adonai said, if I found 50 righteous people in Sodom, I'm going to forgive that whole city for them. Abraham said, well, I will speak one again to Adonai, and I'm only dust and ashes, but maybe 5 people will be lacking of the righteous, and would you destroy the city just for the lack of 5? And the Lord said, if I find 45, I will not destroy it. Abraham kept speaking and said, well, maybe you're going to find 40. The Lord said, I will not do it for the 40. Abraham said, well, don't be angry with me, but I will say to my Lord, maybe there are 30? The Lord said, I will not destroy the city if I found 30. Abraham said, I will speak again to my Lord, maybe there will be 20? The Lord said, I will not destroy for the 20. Abraham said, please, Lord, do not be angry with me. I will speak just one more time. Maybe there will be 10 righteous there. And the Lord said, I will not destroy the city for the sake of the 10. And then Adonai went away when he was done talking to Abraham. Think about that. That is such a powerful story that is still relevant to this very day, because it involves the principles of the judgment of God. The city of Sodom was not destroyed because of the wickedness per se, as much as the lack of righteousness. If there were 10 righteous men in that whole city, it was a big city, mind you, thousands, if not tens of thousands, if not 100,000. We know Nineveh was a city of 120,000 people, as mentioned in the book of Jonah. And yet, there were not even 10 righteous men in there. No, not 10. And that is why they got destroyed. We live in a time when we are approaching those ratios. Now, surely we are still here, which means there are at least 10, relatively speaking, because the Lord deems us still, worthy of survival, despite the exponentially worse wickedness that we have today compared to Sodom and Amorah. Just look at this country of yours, the United States, and all of their abominations. Yet the Lord chose to give you mercy. He did not let those devils take charge. He gave you grace for the sake of, who knows, 10, 20, 40, we don't know how many righteous there are, not that much. I personally know of one, Stephen Gooden, a servant of the Lord. He knows of a few more righteous people that actually love the Lord and serve Him. So we know there are a few. But I guess that relatively speaking, compared to the size of the US, there are enough people Definitely, I would say more on the eastern side of the country than on the western side of the godless California, Washington, in Oregon. There's nothing really good over there except, like I said, a handful. But nevertheless, those handful are still there. And therefore the Lord delays his judgment, because he will not slay the righteous along with the wicked. Like Abraham said, far be it from you to do such a thing. But also remember that in Proverbs, I believe it says that the righteous perish and nobody understands why. And then you realize the Lord took them home before the coming of the great suffering and judgment. So the righteous will die one way or another. Don't think that just because you're a servant of the Lord, nothing will happen to you. That's not what it says. No. The Lord will take you away just like he did Lot, except that now there's no physical place to take you, so he's just taking you home. You will die. And that's a good thing if you're a servant of the Lord, because that means that your suffering has ended. The journey has come to an end. Rejoice over those who have died in the Lord. They will be resurrected into a resurrection of life, as long as they are servants. Believers who put their trust in Adonai and his Mashiach, Yeshua. And when the time comes and the scales revert, and there are not those, relatively speaking, 10 righteous people, you will know, because the Lord promised he will not delay. When the scales drop and the balance is off and there are no longer a righteous justification to allow this debaucherous, wicked, godless nations to keep on going, you'll know the Lord will bring about his judgment. So that should tell you something. First, be grateful to God for his grace and his mercy, because we don't deserve it. That's the whole point of mercy and grace. It's not about you. It's about the one who gives it out of his own benevolence. You can never deserve mercy. That's the whole point of it. If you deserved it, it wouldn't be mercy. It would be what you deserve. But mercy comes out of the benevolence of the one who gives it. It has nothing to do with you, because you deserve death. We all do. All men have fallen short of the glory of God. But he's merciful and compassionate. That's about who he is. So be grateful that the Lord is so great, loving, compassionate, and kind. Second, be grateful for those righteous men and women, those who walk amongst you that actually do what you refuse to do, that actually walk the path, keep the faith, stay away from the adulterous women, from greed, from malignment, from lewdness, from the pop culture of this godless pagan world. Be grateful you have those men that hold fast to the values of the Torah for morality, that honor the Shabbat, which is the seventh day. They keep it holy. Be grateful for those men that you love to mock and malign and ridicule and attack, because they don't drink and they don't smoke and they don't party with you and they dress modestly, they're not fashionable, they're not into the pop culture, they don't have the latest and the greatest, they probably live in a cheap, crummy apartment with an old, crummy car. They don't have much. And you laugh at them. Broke for Jesus, broke for Jesus. Yeah, and they're the only reason that you're still alive, because if it wasn't for those broke for Jesus people that you love to mock, those who are actually faithful, you would have already been dead. That'll bake your noodle. The very people that you mock are the very reason you're still alive. Well, but that's what they did to Yeshua. Remember, far before the crucifixion, he was already persecuted. All those Pharisees, they all wanted to kill him before they actually had a chance to. And he was humble. Didn't come around in a Maserati, the latest and the greatest. No, he rode on a donkey, wore old clothes, no brands. Just a humble, simple man. Born in a manger with the animals in Bethlehem, the smallest of the tribes of Judah. Basically nowhere. That would be equivalent to some ghost town in Missouri or Wisconsin or Nebraska. Nothing great ever comes out of Nebraska. That's what they say about Nazareth. Can something good come out of Nazareth? I would say no, but obviously the Lord has proven me wrong. But then again, I know the modern day Nazareth. But anyway, remember what I told you. The Lord is great. And when his servants drop the ball, when his servants are no more, when the count has shifted, the judgment will come. It will not delay. So whatever you think is so important right now, whatever you're so occupied and consumed with, remember, you might be that 10th man. You know, in Jewish tradition, they have this thing called minyan. They don't pray unless they have 10 Jewish men of age. You know, they will do like a semi-prayer, but to bring out the Torah scroll and some of the portions that they read, they have to have a number, a minyan. And if they don't do it. And it's kind of similar. I think they probably took it from this story, you know, the rabbinic traditions. They pick and choose verses from the Torah and make up their own man-made religion. But regardless, the principle of having a certain amount of righteous men to hold the fort. You know, you have an army coming against you, you gotta have men. One man cannot fight 100,000, except if God is with him. So you have to have the numbers. And maybe, like I said, you are that 10th man, because maybe your grandma or great-grandma is about to pass away and the balance would drop to 9. And the Lord is waiting on you to see, are you going to step up? Are you going to be that 10th man to be repairer of the breach, to stand in the gap, to hold the fort? Because if you're not, I'm not going to have my 10 righteous men and I'm going to destroy that place. So it's really up to you. It's like they do in elections day. It's the same thing. Every vote matters. Don't say I'm not going to vote because my vote doesn't count. If everybody did that, we would lose. Every vote matters. And every man and woman matters. You have the power to be righteous. You can do it. You can serve the Lord. He will give you the strength if you are just willing and obedient. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be willing and obedient. That's it. If you got that, the Lord will do the rest. You just be willing and obedient. Hold the fort. Be repairer of the breach, standing in the gap, so that when the Lord comes to look at the wickedness of this godless world, he will say, well, yes, they're wicked, yes, they're godless, yes, da-da-da. But I have my men, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and there's the 10th one. He just repented of his sins. He just picked up his cross, spiritually speaking, and he's my servant. And for his sake, I will not destroy this world, so that he can grow and mature and become a stronger follower. That is just how great God is. But again, you gotta have the reason. You gotta give him something. You gotta have the numbers. 10 men. And you are the 10th. So step up. Step up, rise up, repent. Do what's right. Forsake whatever you got going on in your life. Your real estate deals, your options, your stocks, your Amway business. All of that godless, meaningless things. Don't you know that the world is coming to an end? None of these things matter. They will all perish. Your empire will perish. Your construction will perish. Your, whatever collections of art and cars will perish. All of it. Only thing that matters is the word of the Lord. So do what it says. Repent. Be a servant. Be holy. Be righteous. And maybe, just maybe, the Lord will hold back his judgment for your sake.